Your instructor for this class, and there seems to be some confusion around option 1 and option 2, create a MySQL database. So I'm going to go ahead and make a video of the assignment so people can kind of see what you got cooking just using MySQL Workbench. Not going to do anything special here with it, but just so you can kind of see and get grounded in the requirements for this class and how this class is going to go together. So what we do have, and one of the questions that got brought up is, what is my root connection? How do I find it? Well, this is your root connection, right? This is just the one that you're going to have. It's the one on your local host. It's your computer. So it's going to be the one that you've got, and it's going to ask you for a password. And if you ever forget this password, you have to reinstall MySQL. Honestly, it's just that simple and that weirded out. Right, so on this is your main screen for your MySQL Workbench. This is all the things you would ever want to have for this. So you have some server status. So if you're curious as if your server's running, you can go click on server status and it will tell you if it's running or stopped, CPU loads, traffic, anything else that's going on. Just a real quick roadmap on this, so you can kind of see where it goes and what it looks like. You can see who all is connected, if you have client connections, if there's anything suspended or working. You can see MySQL Workbench opens a bunch of stuff. You can see about users. If you do add a user, it would be add account. Right, so down here, so you can actually add users. You can do some account limits. You can do some administration roles, and then any kind of privileges that they've got. You'll be doing that later on in this, so you're going to be doing things that people can do, so like grant options and other things. So when you do rights, you just remember that you go to users and privileges, and then go schema, and that will cover all of the things that you need to do for this class. You can export your data if you had any. You can import data. So we were talking about moving data between MySQL and MS SQL as we go through this conversation this week. It's kind of a thing, not a big deal as you kind of go. And then you can start and stop your server. The interesting part about starting and stopping it here, especially on my Mac, is that I'm not going to be able to stop the server. I'm going to actually have to go in through my preferences and my control panel to actually do that, right? So I can click on start server, but I'll get a cannot do permission denied because the account I logged in here does not have the same permissions as my computer account. So there's two different accounts that are being called here. And then any kind of other things that go along with that. But if you want to know if it's running or not, again, you can go here to start up or shut down, or you can go to server status, right? And then any kind of logs you've got, any kind of options that you want to run. It gives you a nice dashboard. This is a nice thing just to have open if you're doing work and you're a database administrator. This dashboard is just handy, kind of lets you know where it is. And then, of course, any kind of performance reports that you want to have, anything that's bottlenecking, who are your main users. So it's going to be me because I'm logged in as the root account, and that's not a good thing because, hey, that's how this works, right? You never want to use the root account for day-to-day operations, right? Schemas are your tables, and these are your databases. And in your databases, and we're going to create one here in a minute. This is where you'll find stuff. And then query one, this is where you actually copy paste data into your queries, right? Into the process, and we'll go through here in a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring up our account, and we're going to go download and open the script file named MyGuitarShop.SQL. So this script is just basically, this is what SQL looks like. And what you can do is you can go Control A, then Control C, and that copies it all out. So you've now highlighted everything, you've copied it, and then we're going to go ahead, we're just going to paste it in by going Control V. And that will take care of everything that you've got to do to create that database, right? So then to actually get it going, you'll click the little lightning button, and that will run your query. And the one thing to really look out for when you're doing this is, what do your errors look like? And I'm a big one on errors. So the database didn't exist, so we got a warning that, hey, the drop database, if it exists, it doesn't. Then create table addresses. We just had one warning there, and an integer issue, right? Which is not surprising. And then create user if exists, user logo identified by a password, right? One warning, authorization ID. Right, so that's kind of, yeah, you don't want to do that in a lot of ways. You never want to embed a password into a script. Now, in case you're wondering where all that went, you're not seeing any changes here on schema. So where did my guitar shop go? So hit the refresh button, right? That little button right there, and then you'll see my guitar shop, and you'll see your tables, addresses, administrators, and all those other things, right? If you wanted to go back and you wanted to see users, right? Did we create the user? So we can actually go back and see if we actually created that user. And it doesn't look like it's been created here, but it is created in the schema. So I'll have to go back and check on that one, right? So that's kind of the fun part. It works all over the place, right? So it's not what you would expect to see in a lot of other ways. But that's essentially how you download and open the script, right? Just click the link and go, right? And then use MySQL. So we went ahead and we opened up and we set this up. We want to run this and set this as our default database, right? So there's ways of doing it from the whole bit. So double click, set as default database, right? And then you can go from there, load spatial data, set as default schema. That's what they mean by set default database, default schema. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. So system is no longer default, this one is. So every time we log in, it's going to go here and take a look at it. And then what we want to do, we want to set it to that. Open SQL editor tab. So we go back to query, right? And we want to make a new query on this one, or new table. So that's new table. New view, new stored procedure, new function, new database. So there's things that we can do here. I would personally just clear all this stuff out. So I'd go Control A, Control X to clear that out. And then what they want you to do is they want you to select spelling, select product name from products. And then we can just go ahead and run that. Error, unknown column. Did I spelled something wrong here. Product. So we'll give you those errors. This is why I love errors, right? Errors will always tell me if I do a thing. So we got our 10 rows returned, right? And then these are my data rows. So I would just go ahead then, okay, this is what we got. And this is what you screen cap, and this is what you put in your file, right? Honestly, yeah, you can either just do this straight up as a result grid, form, or however you want to do it. But yeah, no, you just screen cap this, right? If you do run into an error, I love errors. So always include your errors. And that's essentially all you do here. This is all that you have to do with this whole entire thing. So we selected product name from products. So we want select count colon star bomb count as number of products from products. All right, so we go there and we run our little query. We have 10 products. That's what we got. And there's your screen cap. There's the whole thing. And again, that's essentially what you do here, and you keep on going, right? As you go down there for 9, 10, and 11, it's the same thing, right? So if we go back to downloading up the script product files, right? So there you go. We can just go ahead and highlight that. And then we go back to our thing here. We just delete all the stuff that's in there and we go boom, right? And then we just go run. And that will tell you what all the details are about your products, right? And again, that's all there is. You screen cap this, you load it up, you're good to go. If you get an error, copy that in because errors are fun, right? And I'll mostly work with you on errors. Errors are always interesting to kind of work on. But that's essentially all there is to this entire assignment. It's literally going through each of these things and pulling it up and taking a look, and then screenshots. That's all you got to include, and then boom, you're done. So super easy to do, super quick, not hard to do. And basically that's all there really is to it. But definitely do feel free to reach out, right? We're kind of having a bumpy start to this course, and that's unusual for me to have a bumpy start, but we'll work it through. And hopefully this video will help you with the whole process. So thank you much. Again, as always, reach out, feel free to. I'm probably gonna have to go to mail for this class just because there's so many questions coming in right now that I need to actually be able to have everything written down. So I'm probably gonna turn off text messaging for this class, and I apologize for that, but I think email at this point is gonna be more effective to try to deal with it. So thank you much. Hopefully you enjoyed the video.